Hi, I'm Steve Medewis. I'm the architect and builder for this house. It's in Harvey Cedars, second back from the ocean. It's one of our typical homes, modern homes that we've been building on Long Beach Island since 2000. The interesting part about it is it's got a European rain screen, which is the cedar slats with boards behind me that actually allow the rain to go behind it, and it makes for a very unique look and super low maintenance. I really have to never do anything to the siding. Here we are on the inside, and first of all, I want to give a shout out to my cabinet maker who did the kitchen and the stairs and all the built-ins and the bunk beds and everything in this house. His name's Steve Marks, and he's grew up in Ship Bottom. His dad was a shipbuilder, and he's just amazing. This is kind of a typical interior that we do. It's kind of collage with a lot of color and a lot of different materials. The material on the wall is actually a burnt cedar, which is an ancient Japanese technique, creating a surface on the wood that's a natural surface that will protect the integrity of the wood. The floor is European oak, and it's cross-cut so that it looks rustic. We want something that looked kind of like a boardwalk or a little beachy. Behind me is a big giant door that goes in the wall so that the room just goes, it's 66 feet long from one end to the outside of the deck, and so that's probably the longest room that we've ever done. And it doesn't have any columns on the inside because there's steel up there, so it's quite unusual. First time we ever did a house without a sun deck. This house just has a covered deck at their request, and so it's really nice because when you go and do a sun deck, you have to buy so much furniture for all these chaise lounges, and everybody wants to be bathing in the sun. And with this, we were able to just do a nice, really comfortable arrangement of furniture that would be used all the time, day, night, and put a really nice table out there. And I never really thought about it before, but I would probably encourage most of my clients now to do that because nobody wants to sit in the sun except teenagers, and then you pay for it later on in life. And so I think it was a really great idea that the owner had. And yeah, and we use glass railings, of course, and unobstructed view of the ocean. Furniture there's really high-end stuff, and there's sort of basic stuff in here. We don't we select the furniture because it's appropriate and we know it's going to look good. So the kitchen stools are from Amico, which is the company that makes those aluminum chairs that you see. They were originally created for the military, and this is a Philip Stark design. And they're relatively inexpensive, but then we have a Roche-Bobois sofa, which is probably the top of the line company in the world. We use those because they're so durable and so comfortable. I did a house in 1984 with one of these in it, and I went to a party there about 10 years ago, and it was still in perfect condition. We use the classic Eames chair probably in every one of our houses. Usually they're requested, and we use a lot of Blue Dot, and they make great stuff. And we do the furniture, and this house is just not occupied yet, so it's not fully lived. It doesn't have all the pictures and family photos and all the stuff that makes a house turn into a home. It takes a couple years usually. The kitchen's quite interesting because it's it has some materials in it which are kind of unique, particularly the island, which has a blue granite on it, which is called Bahia Blue, which we found on the internet, that particular slab. And it waterfalls down the side. And I like to use an exotic stone in most of the houses that I do, either at a fireplace or in an island or something, because there's not enough room in the houses to put much artwork up. So if you have something like that, it's like this, it's nicer than any abstract piece of or painting that you're gonna get, and it's always there. And the rest of the kitchen counter is all honed absolute granite, which is pretty typical now. The cabinets are done with a phenolic resin impregnated walnut veneer so that it looks natural but is highly durable. All the hardware is bronze. The appliances are standard, the fixtures are pretty standard, but we use this beautiful tile from Heath Tile in California, and it has a gradation to it so that it really gives this handmade feeling to the room. Across from that is the elevator shaft, which is housed in a cement board enclosure that has walnut strips that match the walnut throughout the rest of the house. It's painted blue, and the idea behind it was that it's a little like fort for the kids. Downstairs we've got 5 bedrooms. The family has 5 children. The bunk beds are there because got to get more kids in one room. There's a master bedroom suite and another suite for guests. There's a TV room downstairs that keeps the children occupied when the adults want to be alone. It's pretty straightforward. It's designed so it feels like a ship downstairs. The hallway is all walnut, and the cement board wall. It's got very subtle lighting in it so that when you're in it, you feel like you're kind of in a luxury yacht walking to your stateroom. Well, the baths are pretty straightforward. Unless somebody says to me they really want something fancy in their bathrooms, and I do have clients that want that, but in this particular house, it's a simple wall tile. We don't use glass shower enclosures. We just use a curtain that's kind of hidden. The vanities actually are Kohler products, and they come in all different. In this house, they're teak. The floors I always use the same floor in my bathroom and my foyers, and that's natural cleft black slate. And we get it from Home Depot, and it costs about $1.99 a square foot. So, it's funny because I spend about 25% of my time just researching materials and systems and equipment and that type of stuff. But it doesn't really matter what something costs. Like you see, Architectural Digest, they're always like going about, it's custom made in a small villa in Tuscany by, artisans that have been doing the same thing for 5 centuries or something. I don't really care about any of that. If it looks good, we just use it. It's actually it's a very simple house. I told the owner it's the most logical house that I've done in a long time, mainly because it's just kind of an extruded shape. And and that's because the narrowness of the lot and all those types of things. I stuck with residential architecture. I worked in Manhattan, and I worked in Trenton, and I worked in Philadelphia, and I worked for bigger firms, but When you're working with a family, it's a personal experience, and you're developing a relationship with a bunch of people. Every family's different. They're involved. I've had 3 generations in meetings with when we're in the design phase in a project, and so it's a nice way to do it. It's more human.